To reiterate, my name is Craig Hight. I'm the program convener for the Master of Creative Industries at the University of Newcastle. And what I'll do tonight is I'll talk for maybe 20 to 25 minutes just to try and give you lots of information about this program, give you a good sense of what it's about and what it might entail for you if you're wanting to enroll in this degree. And at the end, there's plenty of time left, we'll engage in some questions. So just to start with, the building you see on that first slide is a building called New Space that's down in the CBD in Newcastle. And that's one of the campuses for Newcastle, and that's the main place where the Master of Creative Industries, if you're studying in Newcastle full-time, that's the main building, and in and around this, some facilities where you will be studying the Masters. So there's quite a lot of information online about the Masters, and so I'm suggesting if you want more information, that's a good place for you to go and look at the more detail. So what I'm going to talk to is to try and give you a brief overview, or more of a sketch of what the Masters entails, and you can go to the website for more information, or you're very welcome to get in touch, and lots of ways in which you can talk to people here at the university and get more information about this and other programs that are around. So just to give you a quick overview, the idea of the Master of Creative Industries is it's something that's a collaboration between the School of Creative Industries, which I belong to, and the Newcastle Business School, and both of those schools are in that building that I showed you at the beginning, New Space. So it's a program that's very much aiming to enhance people's entrepreneurial skills. So it's very much trying to put people into a combination of creative practice and thinking about the ways in which you can use those for different kinds of ventures. And I'll talk more about some of the ways, some of the projects that people have worked through already in the program. But the idea is that it's very much tailored towards those, particularly those that have been out in the industry and have been working in the creative industries in some capacity, and they want to come back to study and upskill themselves, particularly adding some business skills together with enhancing some of the creative practice that they're engaged in. So there is a couple of options here. The Master of Creative Industries itself is an 80-unit program. There's also a 120-unit version of this, which has an embedded graduate certificate. So the graduate certificate is a kind of a bridging program between undergraduate and master's study. So I might talk about this a little bit in a second, but it depends very much what your background is about whether you go straight into an 80-unit master's or you need to work your way through a graduate certificate first. And you can exit with a graduate certificate. That's a standalone kind of qualification. So it's a trimesterized postgraduate program by coursework, and it runs over 4 trimesters. So if you were planning on doing full-time study, that's about 1.5 years. But obviously there's lots of flexibility to this, and a good number of the students that are working through the program at the moment are part-time. We have intakes in trimester 1 and trimester 3. The next intake is trimester 3, which the deadline for that is the beginning of August. And I can't remember the deadline for the trimester 1, but it will be in January sometime. And I think most students tend to come in trimester 1 and then work their way through a full year, and then a little bit of extra after that. So I mentioned the difference between the 80 units and the 120 unit program, and this is where it gets a little bit complicated, but basically the Masters is, there's lots of pathways to get into the Masters, and it's quite open to a wide range of disciplinary backgrounds and what you've previously done in terms of work experience, in terms of previous study. And what we tend to do is take applications on a case-by-case basis. and just try and keep it quite open and think about the range of disciplines that we can feasibly support within the Masters. And there's some detail there about the different entry criteria, and that's all online. And what tends to happen is people will put in documentation and they'll see where they sit within recognition of prior learning or recognition of previous work experience. And if you're able to document that, that determines whether you do the 80 units or 120 units. And I'm happy to talk more about that a bit later. So one of the advantages of this program is there's a range of both online and face-to-face courses. And we do find that there's quite a varied cohort that comes into the Masters, about 50-50 balance between full-time and part-time students. So there's a lot of students that they're out there working perhaps full-time, and they are just ticking off courses through the Masters and working their way up towards completing an MCI in 2 or 3 years, and really trying to upskill themselves or adding an extra qualification while they're working. Other students, we have those that are working their way up through from undergraduate and coming into the Masters from that pathway, and they tend to be more of the full-time students. So we have a real mixture in a cohort, that wide range of experiences, wide range of creative practices. And that's actually, I think, part of the benefit of this, is you're coming into quite a very cross-disciplinary kind of cohort. And they're all at different stages in their trajectory and working through in the creative industries. So let me talk a little bit about the structure of the program. So there are, as in many of the programs, there's a core, there are some optional directed courses, and then there's space for electives. So in the core, at the center of the core are 3 innovation labs, and they're essentially 3 parts of the one project. So they allow students to come in and find something they want to bring to the program, something that might be something they really want to pursue. They have something they're always, a particular passion that they wanted to, haven't been able to put into action, or they've got an idea that they want to take to a further level, or they want to work on something and lay the foundation and then go on and move into another sphere or another kind of enterprise post MCI. So these 3 labs play out in first, second, and third trimester. So that's a good reason why many students start in the first trimester, is they want to work their way through this core project at the center of the MCI. And many of the other choices they make about courses flow in and around and support that. I'll talk about that in a second, and I'll give you some examples. So outside of the core, so there's those innovation labs and some business courses. And at the moment we have a number of specializations. So there's a number of directed courses you can choose from to help develop pathway through the MCI. There's also, as I mentioned, electives, which means that you can bring in courses at the 6,000 level from anywhere across any of the faculties across the university. And this means that it provides a lot of freedom to be able to customize the kinds of things that you really want to focus on. And I know people particularly like the possibilities of the electives to try and pick courses outside of what we offer within the school, might be within health or education or engineering or wherever, to help support what they're doing in their major project. So there's a lot of chat that we do at the beginning of the MCI and trying to get a sense of what students are really interested in and what they really like to use this space for. And it's an opportunity to draw upon the resources of the university and some expert supervision and mentorship to try and get something developed or lay the foundation for moving on to something else. I might just mention some of the facilities we have here. this is a fly-through for a building which is just currently being built downtown in the CBD. And it's a really good example of the variety of facilities that are available, but also our effort to engage a wide variety of creative practices. And in this case, it's a new building where there's all sorts of creative practices that are going to be going on together and rubbing up against each other. And these are the kinds of facilities that you can draw upon and working your way through the innovation labs if you're coming and working here at the downtown campus. So there will be animation studios, TV studio, whole variety of other kinds of technologies for various kinds of media production, audio recording, all sorts of facilities, motion capture, VR, construction, and so forth. So these are not the only things that are possible to focus on within the MCI, but they provide a lot of interesting kinds of options for skill sets and things that you might be able to pick up within your particular choice of pathway through the MCI. So perhaps I can talk now a little bit about the core project, because I think that's a key part for me of the MCI, because it really shapes the kinds of interests, the kinds of activities that students want to pursue and want to figure out what to complete and what they want to focus on through the MCI. And so there's an opportunity to have a really strong spine through their study in which they are developing a project in the first lab, and then implementing it, getting it up and running, and then thinking about reflecting it and getting a better sense of how to publicize and where to take that project. And so there's a great variety of motivations and types of focus and types of activities from students that have come through the MCI. So some students are just taking the opportunity to come back and deepen their existing creative practice. So they've got some skills. They might have been come up through undergraduate and they want a chance to actually do something at a deeper or higher level, or they've been out in the industry and want a chance to be able to enhance their skills, to be able to perhaps even develop some more sophisticated material that they can use for their creative portfolio, allow them to move further up the food chain or make a leap somewhere else. We have, in some cases, we have students coming in and they want to develop a new area of practice. It's a little bit harder. But to be able to start the process of adopting some new skills, scaffolding on what they've done before, to be able to think about a shift in their careers and open up new areas for themselves. In terms of pure research or totally new, fresh ideas, the MCI is a nice platform to just come in and try some ideas, experiment with some new technologies, or get your head around something, or just a new idea that you've had that you really like to get up and running, whether it's something that you're actually going to go and take to the marketplace, or whether you're doing it for your own particular reasons, your own passion. And some of the students that have come through are just using the MCI to lay the foundation, do the groundwork, get their heads around a key aspect of a major new creative initiative, something that's going to take a while, it's going to take a number of years to get up and running, but using this space to really embed themselves in designing a business plan or developing linkages with some collaborators or networking with people. So there's a whole range of possibilities here. And so the type of projects, the type of things that people have focused on through the MCI is actually really, really broad. And I've tried to give you a few examples here, but I think just to illustrate how much there's a possibility for you to design something and work within your own particular skill set and scaffold from that. So I'll give you some examples of some of these projects. And some of these projects are they're still in development, and some are out there in the public sphere. So I haven't used people's names so much here. I just want to give you a flavor of the type of projects that have been through. So for example, this particular project was someone who came from an art therapy background and was trying to translate those skills, think about making them available on a digital device and thinking about the possibilities of how she might do that. And ended up doing a lot of the background work, working and thinking about all of the aspects of design, not coming from a particular digital skill set background herself. She worked through all of the functionality, thinking through the aesthetics of this particular app, and then was going to take it on to work with an app developer once she had done all of the thinking in the background behind it. And she's still in the process of doing that. This is another project, very different. This is someone who's a woman who's been working as an audio engineer and wanting to make connections with other women in the industry, and really interested in helping to upskill women and feeling confident working in audio recording, so providing workshops and working with some bands. She was based in Sydney, so she's working with some local bands that she's able to get in touch with and able to help co-produce some music videos around that as well. And it's an ongoing initiative where she's wanting to raise the profile of female creative activity within that particular industry. Here's another example. So this is someone who was based in Sydney and working as a creative manager, so actually having quite a useful career already within the creative industries, but had something that he was really wanting to develop as a concept and wanting to work more, or wanting to move and trying to explore possibilities of developing something within mental health. And he spent a lot of time developing doing the concept development for something called the Laughter Room, which would be a particular space, a healing space, using interactive design. And I haven't got the time to unpack all of the aspects of this, but spent a lot of time thinking through and developing materials such as this to be able to talk to investors and further that project and work with people within our school and elsewhere to try and get that thinking up to a more sophisticated level. Here's another one which was quite ambitious. This was an arts teacher, Australian, but she was working in Malaysia, and she was really interested in trying to get a makerspace, an art makerspace up and running within Kuala Lumpur, within the capital there, and spent a lot of time developing a business plan and doing a lot of background research to look at other kinds of art collectives around the world to get a really good sense of how this might be organized and how it might operate. And there's another longer term project. So she was using the MCI to do a lot of foundational work, and we set her up with a couple of business mentors to help her work through some of those background ideas. And there's a whole lot of others. So I've given you hopefully an eclectic sense of the variety of projects that are possible, the ways in which you can use the MCI to push a core kind of passion or a particular agenda that you have for wanting to draw upon the resources or take the time, this kind of structured time to be able to work on something for your own development, your own enjoyment, or something that you actually want to build, something innovative you want to build and actually release into the marketplace. And there's quite a lot of possibilities within that framework. So here's some listing of some other projects, which I chose just to show you the range and the variety of things that previous students have worked on.